Hello and welcome to VOP this morning. I'm Moses Humphrey and working with me is Esther Wachuku. Well, I must say that it's a great way to start the week when you check in with us at VOP TV for everything that feeds your interest, from the headlines to the bottom lines. So we start off by letting you in on the two big stories on our radar today. The Senate over the weekend rejected Tinubu's request to take military action against the Republic of Niger, asking him to opt instead for a political solution. Plus, Chicago court dismisses Atiku's suit seeking Tinubu's academic records. Now, these are the two topics of interest this morning. In the meantime, we would like for you to click and subscribe to our page on YouTube. Now, we are Voice of the People TV up on YouTube. That is Voice of the People TV. And on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. But first off, we'll be heading into what the front pages have for us this morning. And I have with me in the studio VOP in-house analyst Cyril Abaku. Good morning to you, Cyril.
Good morning, Moses.
I hope you had a beautiful weekend.
Very, yeah.
All right, so let's go straight into what the cover pages have for us. We have The Nation, we have The Guardian newspaper. We'll also be looking at The Punch, and if time permits us, we'll touch on the Daily Trust as well. All right, so let's start off from The Nation newspaper now. Let's see the headlines here from The Nation newspaper. Federal government states open talks on minimum wage review. Now, this is one would wonder, why is this coming at this time? Isn't it a little too late? Oh well. Federal government states open talks on minimum wage. No plan for 100% pay rise. All right. And then on top of that one, Igbo Group, Southeast Ministerial Nominees, best. Federal government plans tech hubs in 7 states. On top of that one, we have ECOWAS AU leaders meet over adamant Niger junta. Deadline to reinstate President Bazoum ends. Tinubu governors parley. All right. On top of the nameplate of the paper, we have why Obaseki won't back Shaibu as successor by aid. Telcos reject government's demand for license to load diesel. Student doctors death. Lagos sacks official. Makinde unfolds or your economic recovery plan. And when you go further down the paper, we have Navy, crude on arrested vessel not stolen. Couple excretes 184 wraps of cocaine. All right, so these are the headlines. Cyril.
Yeah, well, I hear the one about Dr. Vairi Diaso's death. I hear the one about governors and the presidency having a conversation to work out a new minimum wage. I hear the one about there was another one. Anyway, but let me begin with the banner headline, which the editors thought was big enough to be their major catch for the morning or for today. Is it the presidency and the governors who should be holding the conversation on minimum wage, or these are preliminary talks pending when they bring labor on board? Because there must be wide conversations. There must be broad-based consultation. There must be negotiation. It is called the collective bargaining, as they like to put it in industrial language. Collective bargaining. I think it's the one thing this government has shown that it may not have the capacity to do. Not that it cannot, but I think it's a bit prejudiced when it comes to taking decisions. It likes to think and just act. Yeah, I haven't seen that willingness to consult. Yes, it's not exactly their way. Before the president was sworn in, one catchphrase or one thing people kept saying was, Tinubu does not know how to shepherd. And perhaps this is a type of it. The governors and the president are having a discussion about how much to pay workers. They are not the people to earn the money. They are not the
Workers
ones to.
themselves don't seem to
They
be
are not the
involved
work.
in this.
Yeah, how can you speak over people's heads when it involves their destiny? Is it that it's when they work when the presidents and the when the president and the governors have had a discussion, they now
agree. Then it's
they agree. They now
imposed.
bring it to the proposal. They say we've reached a decision. Or how are they going to? Because what the last time we heard about minimum wage was that the presidency, the federal government, and what's it called? The labor leaders were going to have conversations over 8 weeks to iron out all gray areas. I would have thought that since the arm of government, since the arm of government is the one involved in the discussions, the labor, the presidency, and the governors are one arm. Okay, so if the governors forum fed the presidency what it is that they thought was good, that should that should suffice. Now you know that in the shadow, last week when the labor leaders, when the labor unions protested in Abuja, and the National Assembly, the first gate fell. The Senate President, I think Senator Ali Dumi was there, and the President of NLC. You know, they also and the Senate President said, "Give us 2 weeks. Give us 7 days to sort out all the issues." You know, I came and I mocked it and I said, a matter that could have been addressed in 8 weeks, it can now be addressed in just 7 days. So where is this? Where is the 7 days? The senators.
Well, even at that, I think I don't know what do you think the FG is playing at? Because right after that, there was a suit against against Joe Ajero.
Yeah, so let's come to it. What the presidency is doing is to drag this matter for as long as possible. I think it's what they call a war of attrition. Is to you wear out the enemy with consistent but apparently random. You attack them here, attacks. You attack them a little here, a little there, drive them back, gain space, gain ground. You know, then you expect maybe they push back you. So they can do this hanky-panky for as long as possible. And then in the background, the common man realizes that the people he has been looking up to speak for him are not speaking for him. Eventually, maybe some money moves around. There is division. There is schism. They balkanize people's ranks, and before you know, this whole thing will fly.
So, in your opinion, you don't think government plans to increase the pay of workers?
Well, I want to think that ostensibly there has to be a plan to raise the pay of workers, but in the end, it may just come to a 10,000 naira addition. Minimum wage going down to 50,000 naira will be a miracle.
They've even said there's no plan for a 100% pay rise.
I know, that's what I'm telling you now, that to even raise this minimum wage to minimum 100% pay rise, that is to make it 60,000 naira. That's an insult. That is
an insult.
It's an insult now.
But there's no plan for that insult. So probably a plan for you. I mean,
5,000, 10,000 naira, addition to the minimum, and to 30,000. I say, please do, take this and be on your way. So that's where we are. And of course the ground is being set for that sort of grand disillusionment. Really, government is feeding us with. No, the word can't be. It's not good for television. But but it's feeding us the kind of meal or diet that is just a diet of worms. If you're badly hungry, if you're not, wait until you're badly hungry. The concomitant is that the wave of crime that begins to increase. People begin to cut corners, and more importantly, if it was government's mind to fight corruption, now more than ever, they need to realize that war was there even before it began, if at all it will begin. You can't fight corruption this way.
Interesting that you said the wave of crime will increase, because apparently, as it is, wave of crime is increasing by the day.
Of course it is.
There was a video I saw trending on social media yesterday of a young man and an e-hailing, an e-cab driver who resorted to robbery, deciding on who to pick, declining some clients and picking females only at night with the aim of robbing them with his friends. Now, this person is a graduate. This person said he was forced into it because he couldn't make ends meet anymore, as the e-hailing cab had increased their own fare and there was no money for fuel in the first place.
So the way I like to look at it, I analyzed this matter on Saturday, and I said, well, because of who I am, my own person and character, Now, there's a risk that comes with that sort of behavior because ultimately it was his choice.
It was his choice.
It was his choice. And choices come with consequences. Now, the risk is higher than the benefit, which means he's in for it. So we discourage people from resorting to such immoral, such unlawful and immoral avenues for self-help. The point is that for every bad situation, for every problem, there's an opportunity. So, for example, we wouldn't have seen the rise of the fintech apps that were payment solutions if not for the cash crunch. The banks couldn't carry couldn't handle it.
Too much.
And so in a lot of places, everybody now had to have I don't want to mention their names, pay this, pay that, because all of them have begin or end with pay. This pay, that pay, all of them, they sprung up so much. In fact, it was big business in the billions for them. Okay? So when problems happen, I think it's an opportunity for us to think and to say, what can I bring to the table? What can I do differently? How can I even perhaps offer more value for people to buy? But again, government has a responsibility, because the fact is, it is between when you begin to think and when those ideas come to your mind, you can't be thinking on an empty stomach. So we must create these buffers. It is unfortunate that we are now in an era where a lot can be said, and indeed a lot can be seen to be said. But in terms of practical action, things don't seem to be working out.
All right then. Let's quickly delve into another paper now. The Guardian newspaper has its banner headline: Nigeria may incur over 2.98 trillion naira double defense spending yearly. And then underneath that one, subsidy: how repair of refineries may ease economic pains. Unease over 14 years blackout, power cut in Ondo South. India-bound couple excrete 184 wraps of cocaine in Lagos. And still from the Guardian, we have Lagos CP, NABS police, FRSC, LASMA officers at extortion point. Everyone, it seems to be, well, unfortunately so.
The fuel subsidy made them to be extorting people too. That would be a lie. that would not be true. I mean, given the level of the prevalence, it occurs to me that when new recruits join the police, they actually learn the tactics of extortion and bribery. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I don't owe anybody an apology. It's the truth. The way they mount roadblocks, the way they mount checkpoints, the fact that even policemen get involved in armed robbery, and so on and so forth. If you arrested him, it's good. Why? Believe me, if the police commissioner were to set up a task force or anything to prevent, so who will catch who? Who will catch who? Can he go around the state everywhere? Can he be everywhere at the same time? Because every checkpoint, almost every police checkpoint, has this problem. So can it be everywhere at every time?
Let me take the banner headline again, because I want your input, your response to it. Niger invasion.
Yeah.
Nigeria may incur over 2.98 trillion naira double defense spending yearly.
Well, like I said, so the first problem is this: years of maladministration, years of dysfunction, years of weakening of state institutions, years of suffering have made Nigerians to see themselves as being less than they truly are, and have seen their country as being less than it truly is. In this whole discussion about Niger or no Niger, Nigerians are not thinking as the saviors of their neighbors. They are thinking themselves of having enough problems to contend with than to think of going to. But in looking at the matter from that perspective, we are underestimating the quantum of the risk involved in becoming potentially the last standing democracy in West Africa. And I hope you understand what I'm saying. This is just to put it in the best way possible. In becoming so if you're crowded out by military juntas, what makes you think that you're safe? Because, like I said, the closer the enemy comes to you, either by direction or by proxy, the closer the enemy comes to you, you are less likely safe. So we may have all the reason why the president shouldn't order military action in Niger, and I've said it time and again that in practical times, we Nigeria may not even have the capacity right now to undertake this mission. But the reality is that ultimately, military action is the solution to the madness we are seeing playing out in Niger. You see, the point is this. In the Philippines, before President Philip III became president, a lady was raped in, what's the capital of the Philippines now?
Can't recall.
When he was mayor of the Philippines, he said she was gang raped. The man came
Oh
out.
yes, I remember that's
then
story.
the president said he wished he was among them to take turns. And people hailed him widely and became president of the Philippines. You know what I mean? This is yes. So populism and mass appeal. A governor comes and says, stomach infrastructure. They say, we will vote for you. You are realistic. It is you we want. What does that? Stomach infrastructure. And after 4 years or 8 years, how does he leave that state? Stomach infrastructure means that the money we should have used to build roads and bridges and power and education and healthcare, I would rather share it for. How is that civilization? So you are seeing what's happening in Guinea, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger, and all you can do is applaud. Come on. Look, let me say this. The people don't just come to power, especially coup plotters don't just come to power for the fun of it. They've sat down and calculated. There's a reason why President Bazoum is writing articles in the Washington Post. There's a reason why he's still allowed to tweet. If whether it's one tweeting or someone tweeting, maybe they even hire someone to be tweeting for him. There's a reason why everything that's happening is happening, and they're calculating. They will use. You see, it happened in Mali. It became a barometer for Burkina Faso. It happened in Burkina Faso. It became a barometer for Guinea-Conakry. It happened in Guinea. It became a barometer for Niger. And somebody is telling me that we don't need to use everything we can to stop that madness in Niger. It appears.
At what cost, really?
No, at the cost of defending freedom.
Now, if Nigeria, well, this is a conversation we'll also go into.
Of course.
Much later, but we'll have our guest talking about that one. If Nigeria decides to lead ECOWAS into this war, who will be at the receiving end? Is it not us? It's Nigeria.
When you
the northern states are already crying out.
Of course they are.
Because they are like 11 hours away from
no.
From the capital.
They
will be at the receiving end.
I saw it, you know, when you say receiving end, what do we really mean?
If we fight, they will fight back.
No,
they wouldn't.
No, this is the point. First of all, the dynamics of Nigeria are complex. Somebody tweeted the other day and said, I don't know, it was a random statement. They said somebody should spare a prayer for President Buhari. I don't know if you saw it. That his fatherland is declaring war on his motherland. That we should, the Niger thing. Now, let us understand the issues. I saw the statement that was issued by the ACF, Arab Consultative Forum. I didn't see, the portion I saw, I didn't see it condemning the coup in Niger. What they said was that Niger and us are brothers. Steer out of it. Steer out of it. That in itself is not the right thing that should have been said. If the argument was about Nigerians who are taking refuge in Niger and so on and so forth, and Nigerians who are doing business in Nigeria, we can understand that. But Moses, at the risk of even being insensitive, the way the border between Nigeria and Niger works, it doesn't seem to work like we are Nigerians and you are Nigerians. It is the same people in the same place. So to use an old paradigm to calibrate that old paradigm into a fresh problem, for me, it doesn't really carry water. This is the way it has always been. So there's nothing new. There's nothing special about it. The main issue is that in the end, it will come to, why didn't we stop this thing early in the day? Because the reasons that are being, of course, and I understand it, like I admit it, that we may not have what it takes to confront the mess. So we are between the devil and the deep blue sea. Because an army that does not have the morale, that does not have the motivation, that does not seem to, that does not appear to have what it takes to grind, even when the president of Chad, Idris Deby, of blessed memory now, came out by himself and led his troops in front, from the front, and decimated Boko Haram, pushed them into a tiny corner. The Nigerian army still could not raise its heel and say, once and for all, your end has come. They couldn't do it. Boko Haram still regrouped. When they split into factions, one faction just walked across the road and went and shot the leader of the other faction and went back. And Nigerian army couldn't still either didn't know or wouldn't know what was going on. So there are issues, there are issues underlying there. But let me say this before I wrap. It is the fundamental responsibility of leadership to sit down. This game with Aside Okbo in Port Harcourt or in Calabar Island will not help us. You cannot surrender state the capacity of the state. In his famous philosophy, Max Weber, the German philosopher of bureaucracy, said that he said one of the fundamental features of the state is that it has the monopoly to control the instrument of coercion. Today now, Nigeria has democratized it. When you hand power over to Aside Okbo, nobody will arrest him. It means he has become more powerful than the power of the state itself. How then do you want to summon the moral courage to tell others that we are going to invade? So these issues are there. But it is the work of leadership to properly sit down, do a threat assessment, be sincere, be fair, be just, and then confront the problem. But whether we have the capacity to confront Niger or not is secondary. In the end, I hope we don't live to regret not going there as we ought to go.
All right then. Let's touch on another paper before we wrap up today's newspaper review. From the Punch newspaper, foreign airlines repatriate over $4 billion in 15 months. Lagos-London fares 49% higher than Accra-Ghana, 162% higher than Cotonou-London. Nigeria Air project stalls. Airfares skyrocket over foreign exchange shortage. And then on top of the nameplate, bank shareholders protest as directors borrow 113 billion naira. Influx of smuggled textiles killed 150 local companies. That's according to TEA, I beg your pardon. Niger, ECOWAS leaders meet as 7-day ultimatum ends. All right, so yes. And then underneath, we have private schools will suspend bus services, raise fees, naps. Suspected land grabbers shoot 3 in Ogun community invasion. Elevator tragedy. Lagos sacks facility managers, suspends agency GM. All right, so these
But it's not enough. They have suspended the GM of the agency. What else did you say they've done? The facility managers have been
sacked.
No. That's like telling them to walk away because tomorrow they may get another appointment. Are we kidding? Are we joking? There is something called dereliction of duty in law. How does that apply to criminal negligence? Okay? You sack them, and so they should go where? We sack you. Go. We sack you. And so where did they go? We're talking about the dereliction of duty on criminal negligence that led to somebody's not death, killing. She was killed. She didn't die. She was killed. When somebody didn't pass on from natural causes and maybe because the person is old enough to die, it's a killing. There was an accident. Something caused somebody's malfeasance, corruption, incompetence. Okay, led to, so it's a killing. Well, since we didn't read the story fully, I hope that there will be arrests and prosecution.
Right.
Because anything other than that doesn't solve the problem.
All right then.
And then importantly, action to go and repair the elevator as soon as possible. Okay, that's what I think.
All right then. Thank you very much, Cyril Abaku, for staying with us on Newspaper Review
My pleasure.
this morning. Now, coming up next, the Nigerian Senate on Saturday reached a resolution rejecting President Bola Tinubu's request to deploy Nigerian troops in Niger to restore democratic rule in the wake of a military coup. Rather, the upper legislative chamber advised the president and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to look for alternative avenues to resolve the issues. All right. So this is the conversation that we'll be having much later.